So here we are, episode 44 of the Two Russells podcast. And thank you so much for tuning in once more. And I hope you enjoyed the last couple of podcasts, particularly the last one with Sam Sarone. It was incredible, wasn't it, Russell, that story? And I see Sam's going on and on and on. She's on lots of social media now and doing lots of great things, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, I'm going to say something slightly controversial, which is very unlike me, which is I think that we are meeting and picking the cream of the crop when it comes to people in this industry. People that have got a story to tell, people that are hopefully inspiring others. Just want to say, I'm going to say this very tongue in cheek. It's great to see other podcasts that are then picking up on the guests that we've already had on and recycling them into their own podcast. Just saying.
Oh, Russell. Now, you've been a busy boy. There's some great congratulations in order because since we were last on air, you've been winning votes, I see. So tell us a little bit more about that, sir.
Yeah, so people won't realise this, but years ago I was a councillor. I was an elected councillor in my hometown. Best foot forward, try and do the right thing for your town, be a representative of local people. And I've kind of been sucked back into it. So yes, recently, beginning of October, I got elected again as a councillor for the ward in which I live, which is a place called Hutton South in Brentwood. So 2 weeks in, and I'm kind of ruffling a few feathers
Oh,
already.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, if you want some more entertainment outside of this podcast, follow Russell on
Look
Facebook
at the
and
council
you,
webcam.
yeah, on the council webcams. Yeah, I saw a few ruffles this week. But onwards, on to our guest of today. I'm delighted to be able to welcome the Chief Executive of the Property Franchise Group, Gareth Samples. Gareth, thank you so much for making time in your busy schedule to pop into this little corner of East London
Absolute
to
pleasure.
talk to us today.
No
So
worries. Yeah, good to
welcome.
be here.
Can I just say straight off, and look, we are genuinely grateful that you're here, and particularly grateful because again, controversial again, but I've got to say this. Although we've had some very, very notable people in your chair there does seem to be a bit of a shyness when it comes to very senior, prominent people in our sector. So other MDs and CEOs of big property businesses like yours that seem to be very hesitant when it comes to putting their head above the parapet with regard to media, which I think is a terrible shame for the industry, a terrible shame for their employees. Um, why is it that you've decided that you'll come on the greatest property industry podcast in Britain, of course, whereas many of your peers, mentioning no names, but many of your peers don't seem to want to do the same thing? Why do you think that?
I did see your article actually, probably 6 months ago, about saying how shy CEOs are, and
Particularly listed business. So it's
yeah,
important. I
yeah,
mean, you're the CEO of a listed business, very sensitive.
yeah, yeah, which is part of the answer, I think. And you look at, so we communicate all the time. We communicate to shareholders. We have to do 2 roadshows every year. I've just come off of our latest roadshow, and we saw 100 investment businesses. Uh, communication's there. So if you look, it's there, how we're doing, what results we're delivering, what our strategy is. But I think you're right, talking,
That's pretty internal, right? Ish.
sort of
In terms of
internal.
the
In
secret.
terms of the industry facing stuff, which I think is the point you're making,
Yeah.
that then, there is the issue of being a PLC. You are compromised. You can only say so much. And then there are, very few podcasts that you'd probably, well, firstly, there's not many podcasts. Secondly, there's some that you wouldn't go on. And you've built, I think, over the last 12, 18 months, an incredible following and done a really good job and have come at it from a different angle. And therefore, I think you'll find more people will want to come and talk to you because of the quality of the podcast. So I'm not shy. I'm happy to talk about all the things I can talk about. I believe we communicate extensively to all of the appropriate people, our staff, our shareholders. And today is a really good opportunity to talk about our business. And
Because I think that most people would think that if you're a CEO or a
mm,
managing director in that position, obviously on merit,
yeah.
that you wouldn't be concerned about saying the wrong thing. But it does seem that, some leaders of some big, big businesses maybe are concerned about that. And there's got to be a big question mark over that, I think, in terms of, well, surely that's a prerequisite to the role, right? So,
So I think, and again, you're right, but I think, if you look at the way our business is set up, I've got an incredible senior leadership team that run my brands and are much closer to the property specific
Element.
nuances, and they all talk to Chris Watkin. They're on Chris's show, so our senior leadership team, I think, are very vocal and they're out there, and I think that's really important
Yeah.
because they run the brands day to day. I run the business, the PLC. The PLC is quite different in terms of its 18 brands, it's city facing, and therefore it's
Well,
much better that a Rob Smith or a Ellie Hall or a Glynis Fruit talk about the industry stuff. So I think we share it around a little bit.
Okay.
just talk about those brands because
Yeah,
I think a lot of our listeners will not know that the property franchise group is made up of 18 such key
yeah,
brands. So you're a big stable, aren't you? You're
absolutely.
a
Yeah.
big business in operating in local towns, cities, markets with some really strong independence. So how do you work them together as individuals to
Well,
come together as the group?
and can we list some of those brands? Again, people working as there.
CJ Hulse. That's the killer question. Can I remember all 18 of these?
Yeah, hunters.
Yeah. So yes, we've got lots of brands, but also got MDs within each of the brands. We've got group MDs that run a selection of brands. And I think that individual brand presence and identity is really important. So yes, we've got 18 brands, but it's important that they've got their own voice and they've got their own culture, and that's why the senior leadership team's in place. Um, and we're consolidated. You look at us as a business, we've got 2,000 state agency offices that are within the group, and some of them independent in the licensing format with the Guild and Fine & Country that we bought last year. And then you've got the franchise businesses, so Martin & Co., Belvoir, You Move, this is a test,
Yeah.
CJ Hole, Whitegates, Ellis & Co., um, Hunters, Belvoir, Newton Fallowell, Lavelle's,
Some real
Nicholas
household names.
Humphreys. Yeah, so all those brands do slightly different things in the marketplace. So I don't think which I think is really, really important. Yeah, we're there to support estate agents, and that's TPFG are there to support agents.
And when you look at TPFG
Yeah.
and looking at the financial results that have come out recently, it was a hungry year over the last couple of years, wasn't it, where you were in huge growth mode and the turnover jumped enormously. So just explain those dynamics for our audience on a business in the city that just needs to keep growing and keep feeding. Is that how it would work?
Yeah,
It's got to
so
grow.
we've had a sort of consolidation strategy since 2020. I joined the group in 2020, and the group at that stage was Martin and Co., all the old Legal and General brands, the Ellis and Co's, CJ Holes, the Parkers, etc. And it was a really good business. Ian Wilson had ran it. Richard Martin founded it in 1995. Richard, really, really lovely guy, really innovative in his time when he set the business up. Ian Wilson then came on and ran it and grew it, did a really, really good job. So I joined the group in 2020, the week before lockdown, which was interesting, coming back into a sort of employee position. Um, and that business had just reported results of, I think, £4 million profit, and had a market cap at the time of £45 million. So it's quite a small business. And it was it was a lovely job. It was really nice, and you could really affect it. And then we looked at, how would we grow it? So my brief coming in was, we want to double this in 5 years. We want to take it from £45 million to £100 million market cap. At the interview stage, did the big, presentation. This is how we're going to do it. And we did it in 18 months. Yeah, we came out of COVID, which was, for me, really, really positive in terms of understanding what franchising meant when franchisees were at their most vulnerable state.
Yes.
And it was, really clear. Our job was to really support them and help them and look at their business and provide solutions that were going to make their businesses better, drive additional turnover and increase profit. And if I could do that for the franchisees, then I'd do okay as well. And
Yeah.
that's the sort of
But that
approach.
spending spree, if you like, has kind of continued beyond that. So you've hit that goal very, very quickly, much quicker than you
Oh
anticipated.
God, yeah, it does.
So give us a sense of where you are now in terms of market cap, revenue, profit.
So 9 times, I think. So we now turn over just short of £90 million, and it was about 15 million, and we've got a market cap of just short of £400 million. So we're 10x,
You've
sort of
10x.
Well done.
9x actually. Share price went down yesterday, so only a little bit, but yeah, we're nearly 10x, and we've bought some really good businesses. We've got no debt, so debt free. So we've done it in creative ways. We've brought really good businesses in. We've recruited an incredible senior leadership team that run the business day to day. And the thing that scale gives you, and the two deals that we did last year, which were transformational for the group.
Is that the final country deal?
We did the Belvoir deal, our biggest competitor, Beaver.
Which have been in the offing for about 5 years, I think.
Yeah, so it had some false dawns. There'd been some falling outs. There was some egos at play. And to be fair to Dorian, who's a great guy, we met in March 2023, and we sat in a hotel and said, "Is this ever going to happen?" Yeah, Dorian was frustrated about driving £100 million market cap business along with us. We were 110, they were 100, and it was, what have we got to do to get to the next stage? And we both tried for probably a year, and it's like, well, I think, we're going to have to come together. Scale's
And so what
important.
was the argument? The split? The split in
Oh,
value?
ego. It's always egos.
Ego.
It's just
Well,
egos. Who's bigger? Who's better? All of that. And I think the one good thing that and this is down to Dorian as much as me, we were able to sit there, and on that first meeting, we said, well, what were the red flags historically? Are they still there? Because
How do we
I don't want to
overcome them?
waste my time.
Yeah.
That change of personality helped a lot.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and what we agreed that day, yeah, and Dorian would say the same. That what we agreed that day, 95% of what we agreed, we delivered, and that's unusual in a deal. And then it took 12 months from that first meeting, but we, got board support, we got shareholder support, and we delivered,
Without the
that
lawyers
deal.
and the accountants ruining it.
Yeah, exactly. And what that's done, if you look at the two, the two businesses were worth 210 million on day of completion, which was March the 7th, 2024. And we're now
Etched in memory.
yeah, yeah. And we're now, that by coming together, that's given an accretive value to 370. So that's why we did it. And
Yeah.
that's why, Dorian should be very proud that we brought it together. I'm really proud of what we brought together. And, what that now gives us is a platform with scale that, we never thought we'd get to. And the opportunity that scale presents you is significant. And that's really the next 3 years strategy for us.
So what happens
Yeah.
next? I mean, do you carry on? I mean, is that spending spree going to carry on infinitum? And I guess then the follow-up question is, and then what?
Yeah, so there's less to buy. We've bought most of it. So, but we are acquisitive. We are very cash generative. It's a really good model. And if you don't spend the cash, you have to return it to shareholders. That's a PLC
Yeah.
environment, and your shareholders would much rather you acquired profitable businesses and delivered
Keep
a
returning
greater
growth.
earnings per share and
Yeah.
a better divvy and what have you. So, of course, we will try and continue to spend that money on key assets that improve the group.
Whilst developing the group inwardly in improving
Absolutely.
results
That
there.
the
Yeah.
organic growth opportunity is significant. So that's why we've got the senior leadership team in place. They day to day run the business. That frees me up to do the investor relations stuff and work on strategy. It's really weird when you grow as quickly as we've grown. You have a team for £100 million business. Well, we're now £400 million, and we have so we've put 4 times the people in. No,
Yeah.
so everybody's working really
A little bit
hard.
stretch.
And what you got to do is look at the opportunity that's going to give you the best return to make sure that, one, you don't overflow it with costs, because we don't want to do that. But two, you get the right people who can take the business in the direction it now needs to go in. And our ambition is we get to 750 million. So we're still only
Right.
part way through the
Billion, a
journey.
nice round number. Gary?
Billion would be great. Yeah, it'd be $1 billion. So it'd be a billion somewhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Million
we'll
times
take
half,
it.
yeah.
We'll take it in stages. But that massive opportunity, really exciting time for us as a group, and yeah, really enjoyable.
So when you set out on your estate agency journey, I don't imagine you were envisaging, right, one day I will be CEO of £1 billion business, but fantastic that's where you're heading. So where did it all start for you, Gareth? Where did your property journey start?
Yeah, so it's interesting. My cousin was an estate agent in a place called Kettering in Northamptonshire, and he had a business called Tilly Morgan, and Tom Morgan was my cousin, and I always went to visit him, and he had the flash cars, and he had the, you know, um, the nice house, and I thought, actually, estate agency looks quite good fun. And went to school, failed dismally, went to college, failed dismally, came out 18 with my sort of O level in sociology, thinking, I've got to now sort of knuckle down a little bit. And there was one commitment I guess I made to myself that day on the basis that, when you get 18, your educational career is over. Um, it's quite frightening. And you think, "Christ, I've got 47 years now before I retire. So whatever I'm going to do, I want to enjoy it."
Make it count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want to enjoy it. That I don't want to, you see a lot of people that go to work because they have to. And I never felt I wanted to do that. And I wanted to be successful and I wanted to earn money. I always have this, it was like this time next year we'll be a millionaire or
Well,
this sort of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So, that's really sort of a goal to be successful. And I came from a family who were quite poor and, they ultimately worked really hard, were really loving, but,
Whereabouts, geographic?
Rushden in Northamptonshire.
Right.
So, uh,
Famous for the Dr. Martens.
yeah, yeah. So Max Griggs, his
Yeah.
daughter, used to sell me advertising space in the local rag in
Oh,
Northampton.
really?
Yeah, property. She was the property advertising lady. So yeah.
He
So
went on to buy Rushton& and Diamonds,
Max
didn't
bought
he?
Rushton
Yes.
and Diamonds, played there a few times, and yeah, yeah. So that's close to my heart. And they bulldozed that stadium. I cannot believe it.
Have they?
Bulldozed that stadium. Yeah. Such a shame. Such a shame. But yeah, Max, funded that football team for years. So left school, thought, what am I going to do? Went for 7 interviews with Connells for a trainee negotiator for 7. Yeah.
For a trainee position?
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. And they were clearly unsure. Um,
Or just had the most ridiculous.
no, 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 they're definitely unsure. I think it was, and this was for a job and I got my first pay packet was £1,500 a year basic and £35 per deal.
Right.
So Ken Waller was my regional director. A guy called John Sheehan was my
Oh, some
area
famous names
director.
there.
Yeah, and I was a 17-year-old neg in Rushden, and loved it. My first day, the guy took me upstairs. He said, "Right, I'm going to write you out this script," and he wrote me out the script for a buyer qualification. He said, "Stick to that script, and you'll be all right." And go and ring, 100,
Have you still got it?
buyers. It's amazing. It worked perfectly. Do this, ask this question, pause, ask this question. If they say that, do this, do that. They wrote it out. It's like brilliant. So just stuck to that, stuck to that, stuck to that. Worked really hard. Worked 7 days a week, 8 till 8 in the 80s. I had 2 hours lunch break. So I went home, walked to Hyme Ferrers, which is where I live, had a bit, and then back till 8 o'clock at night. Did that 7 days a week. So worked really, really hard, learned really, really quickly, loved the job. Yeah. Culture back then was amazing. It was, really, really good.
And competitive.
Yeah.
Oh, just fantastic. Your tailors in every eye, and you just, you were working really hard to do it. So, did really, really well, and got sent out on my first valuation when I was about 5 months into it. And by the time I got back to the office, they'd rang to say, "Next time, don't send a effing lad round." Yeah,
Right.
boy round, effing boy round. So
Is that your first valuation?
first
That was
valuation,
feedback.
very
Didn't they just put you off the industry?
no, 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 no. So it's like, "Oh, gosh, I thought
Yeah.
it was quite good."
Good.
But,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. So that was tough. So anyway, did 6 months there, and the 6 months felt like 3 years almost. It's really, really weird. There's time goes much quicker as you get older, and then got headhunted by this posh firm in Northampton called Scott Pinkham, which were like elite. They were amazing. Big country homes department. George Road, Northampton.
Yep.
Northampton was the best area to do a
George Rowe, Northampton. One of those famous estate agent
well, they took
streets,
all of
isn't
it.
it?
They had all of it. Scott Pinkham had all of it, and they had country homes. You had people like Alan Lamb, the cricketer, ringing up saying, "Can I speak to Chrissy?" Chris Eccles was the posh town and country, and they recruited me as their bit of rough. I was their bit of rough. They'd just gone into um, uh, like mainstream estate agency, 0 to 50 grand type property, and they recruited me to be the sort of neg for that. So very posh, two partners. Yeah, John Pinkham, very flamboyant, drove a beautiful black BMW 635 CSI with cherry red interior. Duncan Scott, the other partner, was a surveyor, dead straight laced, drove a Rover 800, and that summed them up. Their two cars sort of summed them up, and I just had the best time of my life. There was probably 30 people working in the business in this one, like 6 shop fronts
Fronts.
in George Road, Northampton. And it was like a family, it was just, we just worked every day. We went out every night and
You
just
genuinely loved it by the sounds of
oh,
it.
it's incredible.
Did you love the bars? Did you love the money? I mean, or all of the above?
Well, the money wasn't really there, but I can remember getting, like, so Scott Pinkham, they'd, been going probably 30 years, and month 2, I think I broke the 30-year sales record. And if you were the top salesperson in the month, you got the front desk. And if you got the front desk, you should be top
You just
salesperson
stay
everywhere.
there. Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
just
Yeah.
kept the front desk. It was like amazing. And partly because I never went home. I mean, I was there
It's the
every
old days, by the way, for those that are a bit young, upper 30, when people actually went into a state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And it was never, there was no working time directive that you could only work 37 hours. I must have
Yeah.
been doing 78, 80 hours a week. But I loved it because it was like my work and my
Life.
hobby and
Yeah.
my life. It took over everything. So then became a valuer, was really good at valuing. And then my wife, she's the ITU nurse in heart speciality, trained in Leicester. And we were getting more serious. So she'd come to Leicester, we'll buy a house in Leicester. So we bought a house in Leicester, and I became Prudential's youngest ever manager at 19 or 20, something like that, and took over Lutterworth. And that was really interesting.
When's this? Late 80s? This is when the Prudential were buying up the estate agency businesses left
Yeah,
and
is that
right. I still
yeah, it'd been 88 or so, 87, 88.
So
So
this is towards the end of the
Yeah.
boom time. This is why presumably
exactly right, yeah.
you're able to be working 10, 12 hours a day because there was demand and
Yeah.
supply in abundance, right?
Yes, I think I did the Mirus at Scott Pinkham. So Mirus hit,
Irish tax.
everything
Yes,
in
yeah. Double
Northampton
tax.
doubled in price. Every terrace house doubled in price. I was still there when they halved in price. So it was just after the crash.
1990-ish.
Yeah, maybe. So went to Lutterworth. Lutterworth, the market was still good. So I don't, maybe I got it slightly wrong, but and turned up at the office in Lutterworth, and they'd sold it big time. I was like flattered that they'd offered me a manager's job and what have you. And there's a beautiful office in Lutterworth, and looks really nice. It's Bell Street, I think. And turned up and met the staff. Said, right, what we got on the market? They said, well, they ain't on the market. What?
Right.
Well,
Got any?
we got this, and it was we had these drawers with
Yeah.
details in, and there was a commercial industrial unit in Coventry, and that was it. So Jesus Christ, and Prudential at the time was like, you got to charge 1.75%.
But they hadn't told you before taking the job.
No, I probably should have done a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
It was just keen on
Do
more DD on the deals I do now.
You're entitled to an assumption that they've got
Well,
but still
nothing. Yeah, nothing. And we had Spencer's, Oyston Shipways, and what have you, Whitegates. They were all charging 0.75%.
So you're working opposite Whitegates there, and now they're in your stables.
Absolutely,
Amazing.
yeah.
What a wonderful
Yeah.
story.
I know. So it's like, this could be a problem. I mean, it's like, I've got to charge 1.75. That was not absolutely non-negotiable.
did you see it as a challenge?
Yeah, but you had to, I'd moved up. I'd left a decent job. I'd moved up. It's like, Christ. So it's like, right, well, to the side, just book me loads of value, get me out to see them. So I went out to see them, and what it taught me, and Chris Watkins talks a lot about fees at the moment and what have you, is be brave enough to ask, and then be better than your competition. And the third bit was stay longer. I stayed in houses for 3 hours. I had
Never refused
tea.
a cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I had tea with people, and
And some of those teas you really don't want to have, do you?
absolutely. I mean, tea, they fed me. They fed me. I've been there that long. They felt like they had to feed me. It was like, and we did really well. Within weeks, we were market leading. And took loads of stock. We lost the odd one, but we were better. We worked harder. We were better. We delivered a better service, and we demonstrated value, and yeah, that stuck with me, but yeah, don't be afraid to ask for the fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll negotiate if you want to negotiate, but don't be afraid to start, at a higher
At the right
fee.
place. Yeah.
And, ultimately you don't need to do as many deals at 2% as you do at 1%. So make your life a little bit easier. But, with the mentality that you're always going to win. And once you prove to people that you're not mad, then they come along the journey and they grow with you. So did that, did do really well at Lutterworth. The area director there then set up a business that I joined, which didn't go so well. So that was just not funded properly, and my wife was pregnant with my first child, and it was like, Christ, I now need to go and find a job.
Yep.
Um, and I got employed by General Accident Property Services in a place called Hucknall, Nottingham.
Yep.
mining town, village. Joined them in June. Baby was due, clothes due in August. And what was really interesting is Northampton was like the end of the southern estate agency approach,
Yeah.
and then you went to Lutterworth sort of close to Northampton, but you went into Leicestershire and Nottinghamshire, and they're still self-service. They had just
Go
racks.
and help you.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
county had
Yeah.
racks where you just took the details of properties that you wanted. So alien, yeah. So went to Hucknall, and it was like, oh, we're going to change that. We're going to go very much customer facing, sit them down, book valuations. And again, took over a loss-making office in Hucknall, and within 4 months, we were the best office in the region and most profitable office in the region, um, and did incredibly well. They at the time had this point scheme where for every house you sold, you got some vouchers or something. It was amazing. Lawnmowers and
Yeah.
all this. Never had anything like it. We just sold so many properties and were so dominant. A little office that was doing 2 deals was doing 20, 25 deals. We'd get really good
It's
fees.
amazing markets like Hucknall, isn't it? Because I opened an office in Hucknall, and it absolutely, I think it's still booming now. Absolutely, the volume was unbelievable. It's almost like everybody in Hucknall's on the move.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's only 3 agents when I Connells, not Connells, Halifax, Nationwide, and us,
Yeah.
GA. Um, so so that put me at the forefront of the region. They then gave me an area director's role, so I became a sort of troubleshooter then for General Accident, taking over their really poor offices.
And how old are you at this point?
So Chloe, 23,
Right.
23, yeah.
Super
Um,
young.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, was young. So became area
You've already
manager.
got 5 years experience now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, probably not quite 5 actually.
Not being chucked out of houses
Um,
anymore, other than
Quite a few. Yeah, one in Chesterfield, he wanted to fight. Well, wanted to fight me because I valued his house at 30 grand less than he thought it was going. But
You were honest, in other words.
yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'd still maintain I was right. But he so did some really good stuff. Took over offices that were losing money, turned them into making money. A guy that then uh, I'm very close to and have worked a significant part of my career, relocated from Kent to become the regional managing director in Derby, a guy called David Nunes. And me and David worked together then for 20 years and yeah, had in the same office. We were both in
Another
Derby and
legend of
Highgate.
the
Yes.
industry.
Absolutely, yeah. So he was on floor 1 and I had the penthouse on floor 3. Um, so yeah, worked really closely with David, became an area director, looking after 6, then got 20, so I had the largest area in the country. Um,
Which
uh,
fed under your move.
no, we're not you know, we're
Mhm.
still GA at the time, under a guy who also was a big mentor, a guy called David Leslie in the north. He ran the north, Bob North ran the south. Uh, and because, the regions or the areas were always the best in the company, you just got more, you just got given more and, we grew. So became area director, senior area director, regional director, um, uh, and then became ultimately after, I don't know, 12 years, 13 years, the managing director of Your Move. Um, Along the same time, Simon Embley came in from Norwich Union. So Norwich Union took us over. We became Your Move.
Is there a Halifax deal here somewhere?
We did the Halifax deal, which was,
Which was a quid?
it was a quid.
Halifax
A lot of
for a
work
pound.
to do for that pound, to be fair.
Because you've got the overheads, which is why it's a pound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You've
was.
got the liability.
And yeah, again, turned them. I think I was running the north at the time. So took all of the northern businesses, and we did okay with them. And but in 2002, we bought the business off of Norwich Union. So Simon Embley, David Nunes, Paul Latham, who's now my chairman now, Dean Fielding, who's one of my non-execs now. They were tier 1, and then me, along with a few others, were tier 2 in terms of shareholding. So we bought it off of Norwich Union for 40 million, and then floated it 2 years later at 200. So we all did all right. So that was the first sort of chunk of change, rather than
Was
a
this the
salary.
famous rumoured yacht club, or is that something that's just we
Yacht
working
club.
again? Yeah, the whole thing was, well, the whole Your Move leadership team
Was it
gonna
done on a
get
yacht?
enough money, no, enough money to buy a
To
yacht,
buy a yacht? Probably.
or is
Yeah.
that just a fantasy from
There's a
outside?
few yachts that some of them are bought
They
to
they
do.
just made a £160 million profit.
Yeah, the yacht.
Share.
That was the whole. That was the whole when I was working.
And
Again,
quickly, 2 years. I mean, it's really quick. Yeah. So people make lots and lots. So, I was tier 2, so I made good money. But I guess not life changing. So that was a big change because, earning a salary is one thing, having a, you know,
Big chunk.
big chunk is another. So then became managing director of Your Move, which at the time was the largest single brand estate agency in the UK. Um, and that was a proud moment. That was really, really enjoyable. Built that up, did that for a couple of years, maybe 3, and then decided, um, that I was gonna just retire,
Yeah.
and just wanted to spend a bit of time with my children and,
How many kids you got?
I imagine this will
4.
be so fast paced as well, and the
Yeah.
burnout was a potential thing because you're partying, working, socializing with everyone
You're
around you
doing 12 to
Yeah.
14 hours a day, 7
for a
days
long
a week
time.
for about
Yeah, no,
20
it
years.
wasn't quite that bad. The first 5 years were it was like addicted to it, and to the point where you were like, you didn't sleep. You were like, it was, yeah,
You're wired.
yeah, really
Yeah,
wide, really wide. But no, that settled down, and as I say, worked with some really good people. But I think one of my skills is being able to recruit really good quality people, and if you get good quality people, your job becomes a lot easier. So we had some really good area directors, some really good regional directors when I was running Your Move that delivered day to day, and that makes your job certainly a little bit easier. Um, so so yeah, got to 40, I think it was 40, maybe 41, and just said, yeah, I'd probably want some time off, and I think working in a corporate, or what I learned is you become quite insular. So it was almost like us against the world. It was
yeah,
like Connell's, Taylor's Countrywide. It's like it's a battle, and I
yeah,
guess you'd
def
see that in your days with
yeah,
spices, and actually that's not healthy. So coming out, I was offered some opportunities, and one was with a prop tech business called Brief Your Market, and it was really local, Derby, so it's 15, 20 minutes in. Guy called Damon Bullymore is still the most technically gifted um, uh, commercial IT professional I've worked with. Very, very good. And Rick Palmer, who's a brilliant entrepreneur, set up Mortgage Advice Bureau, set up Ashley Adams, but the loveliest man you could meet. So, and again, my career's dotted with really good people that I'm
yeah,
working with,
yeah.
and really, which makes it really enjoyable.
And
Um,
sorry, just on that, have you gravitated towards them or have they gravitated towards
but we'd met before, and so it was like, let's have a conversation. It was like,
What can we do? Yeah.
it's prop tech. I hadn't done prop tech before. There's the ability to put some money in and take some equity. So like, okay, yeah, I do that. But the ability to be really local and the flexibility to work when I wanted
well,
to
and a bit
work.
of a change and you challenge?
Massive change, and going back to this insular. So you went from, really insular in a corporate environment to going out B2B, selling to independent estate agents and meeting people like Mark Manning and, people, Peter Lawrence, and people you would never have met
Well,
before.
and I can resonate with that. In the last 6 years,
Yeah, exactly.
I was 30 years. There is not a world outside of this.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you get into the world outside, and
Yeah.
you for 6 months before I started with, Josh and doing various other bits and pieces, um, just going to meet everybody. I remember we had a conversation, me sitting on
Absolutely.
my sofa
Yeah,
in
yeah.
April 2020, I think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, I don't know
Yeah.
where this is gonna go yet,
I
Russell,
know.
but
I know.
let's talk. So and I made a point.
Well, he turned me down.
Mm,
He
to
turned me down is the truth. So,
the offer never came, but, we're here now. We're
absolutely,
here now.
we were doing all right. We were doing all right.
But to go and see the wonderful things that are happening out there. I remember seeing you at the EA Masters and wandering around and thinking, "Oh God, I didn't know this went
It's
on."
really weird, isn't it? So that was sort of empowering that we're in this year, we're seeing other people, and you're seeing the industry from a completely different lens. And I sort of regretted how I'd been before in many ways. It's like, well, actually, it's not the right way. So, got stuck into the prop tech business. Briefly, Market's been a real success story. Damon's had 2 exits. I've had 2 exits over the last 3 years. Built a really good business with really innovative tech. That's still, I think, unique today compared to anything else in the email digital marketing field. But we had just an amazing time. We had fun. We had real fun, stupid fun. We drove, we drove miles to go and see independent estate agents, and
Which must have started preparing you subconsciously for where you are now, dealing with individual business
God,
owners.
it must have helped, mustn't it? I mean, just picking that up and understanding the day to day struggles that small independent estate agents have. Absolutely.
But how did you get into the TPFG role then? So how did you make that?
so a bit more in between first, so I'll get there. So did that, bought a place in Spain that we needed to remodel, so we're in Spain quite a lot. Had, um, uh, Brexit, and that's a big piece Brexit will come on to, political, you might have a view on it, Russell. Um,
Maybe.
yeah,
Big
yeah,
for you,
yeah,
political.
yeah, yeah. So I'd done really well with the shares. I'd sold all my LSL shares at a record high. I then invested in banking shares, and they just collapsed in Brexit. So it's like the money I thought was there forever,
Safe. Yeah.
uh, just went, and not
What do
not
you
all
think?
went. I mean, half did
Well,
half.
don't tell us the pound number, but in percentage terms, when you say collapse,
Oh,
drop by what, 50%?
Half, 50%, yeah, 50%. So I said to Ange, I said, look, actually, um, I'm not sure we have got enough money now to see us through till we're sort of 80 years of age. So she said, well, okay, you go and get a job then, I suppose. So that was the financial. There was
dust
a
off that
financial
CV.
thing. There was also, I was 50, and it was like, I've got to make a decision. Always thought I had one big job left in me, um, but never knew whether that one job would ever come, because you don't need it. I mean, so that was another factor. So I was restless. I was thinking, right, if you don't do it when you're 50, you pass
But
50,
you're
you
also
probably,
out the sector, right? So you're less visible.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You're
definitely.
probably not getting the approaches because people think, "Oh, he's done."
Yeah, yeah. Well, told everyone I was done, really. I'd set the restaurant chain up and
Yeah.
was having super fun in the restaurant chain.
Just talk
Uh,
about that for a moment. So where did that, because they weren't just restaurants, they were,
yeah,
for
big
us,
ones. Yeah,
stunning
yeah, no, they're good. They're good. They
locations.
were good. So, uh, d- so good friends. Um, so I first met I met Terence's dad in 1989, 1990 in Chesterfield, one of my GA property services there. And we had two offices in Chesterfield. And we said, right, we're going to shut that one, New Square, and we're going to double the size of Gloomingate. And John was the contractor. So he turned up to come and see me in the one evening. He turned up in this big red flash Lotus, and he was the most lovely man, yeah, and still is, yeah.
Another
So
lovely man.
a really really lovely guy. And his son Terence then took over the business, and me and Terence have known each other now 30 years. What I mean. So he did refit. So he refitted a restaurant, and the guy in the restaurant had an idea that he wanted to set up a Brazilian steakhouse in Leeds. And we backed him. That was it was that
As
stupid.
investors.
It was
Yeah.
as investors.
Yeah.
So we had a Monaco-based wine merchant was a third, we were a third, and the restaurateur was third.
How does it take the conversation when you go home? So you've got brief the market, you've got, you're a career estate agent, and you say, I tell you, I know we've just lost 50%,
Mm.
but what I'm going to do now is we're
Well, no, I
going to
think I
back
put
a
the money in
restaurant.
before I lost 50%. So that's one of the upsides, I suppose. But so yeah, so Angie's used to my but business acumen and
Well,
yeah,
in the restaurant.
as many deals go wrong as they go right. But we had a fantastic time, and we opened in big 200-seater restaurant in Leeds, and it went okay. 18 months later, we opened in Liverpool, another 200-seater restaurant, went okay. Then Edinburgh, that went amazingly, still goes, still the best restaurant of the five. Um, uh, we then opened in Manchester, then Birmingham, and then finally in London. So we grew this restaurant chain, um, yeah, over a 10-year period to what was quite a significant business, and um, also had a load of fun doing it.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
If you're involved in restaurants, you don't look to necessarily make money, but you have a really good time. Um, and then we got approached by an American company last year, who were backed by Bain Capital, which is a multi-billion dollar fund in the States. Um, and they were amazing. I mean, they've got a brand called Fogo de Chao in South America and all of um, America.
And they wanted to what? Buy you or invest?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we talked to them in COVID, and then we agreed that if we ever thought we wanted to sell, to have a conversation with them. So we rang them and said, yeah, we're thinking. So they said, oh, we'll fly over next week. Flew over the following week. We talked about what we felt the business was worth. They flew back 3 weeks later with their advisors from Bain Capital, went around every single site, and I met the CEO in the evening, and we went for a meal, and had a few too many drink. He then flew over 3 weeks later, and he said, "The money's in the air. You'll have money tomorrow morning in your account." 7 weeks, start to finish,
Done.
done.
And it completed.
Oh yeah, yeah, done.
Did you ever go?
No, I don't.
You see, fantastic.
Great. I'm there later.
Oh, are you?
Going for
Okay.
drinks later.
In that lovely big round table in the middle of the
It was nice. That's a nice little
Yeah.
feature of the
See, very
Finland.
So you've got no.
Yeah, well, no, I'm now an ambassador of the Fogo de Chao brand. So
You're doing a very good job today.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But they were brilliant. So really lucky. I mean, yeah, that was lucky. I mean, that was the
Just
right
being in the
place,
right room.
time, right brand, right restaurant. That worked really, really
Gareth,
well.
aren't you being a bit humble when you say it's luck? And people will be watching this saying, yeah, it's not always luck, one after the other. You have to make your own luck. It's not just being in the right place and the right people. You have to engineer the kind of entrepreneurial and operational excellence to get to a point where you can have what's now perceived as luck in terms of all these wonderful exits that you've had.
Yeah, but I guess you look at other restaurant chains that you will have eaten at that have gone in a different direction, maybe scale, private equity money,
Well,
done.
Gaucho, steak
I
restaurant.
wasn't going to name them. But they've gone down a similar but different route, and it's all come and stuck. So it's very easy to take a wrong turn for the right reasons. We took the right turns also for the right reasons, and so that's why I say luck. That you're not quite sure where it's ever going to take you. And delighted to have been involved. Yeah,
Would you describe yourself as a serial entrepreneur? I would.
yes, but I think so I did consultancy as well in this period of sort of doing a bit of work and other stuff. Um, and I just like being involved in businesses, and I think I'm quite good at looking at a business and looking at where that business can improve, and I sort of enjoy that. So it's almost like a mathematical type brain. Give me a set of numbers, I can see what's good and what's bad about it really, really quickly, and that
You like the buzz of it.
Yeah.
that stimulates.
That's what's
Yeah,
coming across to me
absolutely
is that,
stimulates me.
that retiring at 40 seems the furthest thing from your mind now is you're still fingers in several pies and,
Yeah.
and wanting to grow and growth. Where's that drive coming from?
I think it's always been there. So I think that goes back to, you know,
Rushton.
12-year-old thinking, my mum and dad haven't got a lot of money. I want to do something I enjoy, and I want to be really successful at what I do, and I want to earn some money. I think, things drive you, don't you? I think there's a negative for my kids. They've taken their ambition away a little bit because they've had everything on a plate. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the answer is because, you know,
You want to give them
you
the
hear some
cool
people
stuff.
say, well, I've told my kids they're not going to get anything. So you spent all your life building wealth and you're now not going to give it to your kids. So
But is there a point in your history, in your childhood, where someone said something that inspired you to then want to go on have these entrepreneurial successes? Do you ever have a teacher say to you, "Gareth Samples, you'll never come to anything"?
No.
Or so it was because it is quite unusual not to have a trigger,
Yeah.
and also not to have otherwise a kind of background parent-wise where there's something there that inspires you to go for it. If you hear the stories of
Yeah.
Branson and
Yeah.
Sugar and people like that, there's always something there. Teacher said this, or something happened in your childhood.
There'll be some cycle. I mean, my dad, it's a good question. Digging up some deep, buried stuff. But my dad had a really successful business with a business partner. The business partner took all the money, went to prison for it. But what I noticed with my dad is
There
that
it is.
that broke
There it
him.
is.
That broke him.
Yeah.
That the trust he'd put in a business
Yeah.
partner to steal everything from, and he never really got back on track.
Yeah.
And he was a brilliant dad, really, really, really great dad.
Because you
Um,
think, and I don't want to play the psychologist here, but that sat with you. So you remember that as a kid. You were what, 10?
Well, no, you've just reminded. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's in there. It's in there.
So
I wouldn't say I think about it a lot,
But it may well be subconsciously.
yeah,
And I love all this. I think it's so fascinating, these triggers,
And
these inspirations.
they're not doing as well. And
Yeah, but you have then potentially spent the rest of your life saying, "Okay, no, I'll show the rest of the world that me and the family, me and dad, we're up for it. We were good enough."
yeah. I think birth of your first child's another massive thing. I think we were, um, we weren't like rich when Chloe was born. I was young, 23, 24, and it was a real struggle. We bought a house in, um, bought our first house. This is the risk taking. We bought our first house in place called Rushmede, and I was still working in Northampton, so I never viewed the property. And Ange was in a nurse in Leicester, so the first time I saw the property she picked um, was the day we moved in. So I'm driving
Really?
up with me, yeah,
I had no
driving.
idea what you'd bought.
Well, I knew because we'd
You hadn't seen it.
yeah, yeah, but I'd seen the
That's kind of
same
unheard of
property.
at 23, yeah.
Yeah, we'd bought a property, we'd offered on a property, the same type of property. It's two-bed semi-detached bungalow somewhere else, and we lost out on it. So we then found she found another two-bedroom semi-detached bungalow in Rushmede. So she said, "Oh, it's exactly the same as the one, so don't need to see it then." It's fine. So we're driving up and we're driving into
I haven't got time to come and see that.
yeah, it's a bit like that. So I'm driving in and things didn't sort of feel right.
So as an agent, you're thinking, hang on a sec, I'm not sure this is
Mm.
the move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
So
too
my
late.
dad, I'm with my dad as well. Driving in. It's like, so anyway, we'd bought on an exclusively Asian estate, um, and with I think the only white people on the estate. So we were there 6 months, paid 33,000 for it. We had our cars trashed. We had
Really?
our garages graffitied. Yeah, we weren't welcome. We had bought in the wrong place. I mean,
So you
there
were
was
subject to a bit of racism.
yes, yep, 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 yep. But the good news is, in 6 months, that property went from 33 to 53. I did a part exchange on a three-bed detached in a place called Heather near Colville for 79, and we had an ensuite. You know, we were really posh. We had the three-bed
It
detached.
arrived.
We actually had an ensuite. The ensuite didn't have a door; it had a sliding door because it was that small. But you know, I was a little bit thinner at the time, so it didn't really matter. So bought that house, and we paid 80 grand for it, and um, let me get this right. Chloe hadn't been born by then. So yeah. So Matthew was 2 when we moved. So something like 8 years later, I sold it for 60. So £20,000 loss
Loss.
in negative equity. And did a deal on an amazing house we did in Netherseal, which was beautiful. And was able to do a deal with a builder where we got a bit of cash back and that paid the negative equity and all of that. Um, so yeah, the sort of property buying's been a bit mixed as well, to be
That
fair.
brings me on to another question. We're probably going to run out of time now, although I could feel that we could talk
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
another hour or so. Um, Apart from that kind of accidental faux pas on that property sale, has Gareth Samples ever had any failures? Because it sounds like you've just had success after success, which in itself is unusual. So when we talk about well-known entrepreneurs, even in our industry, so the likes of, let's say, the Bruce Brothers, for
Mm,
instance, people look at the big successes, but they don't understand that as part of that success journey has generally been failure. I mean,
yeah.
look at me, Emu, massive failure, but not defined by it. Have you had anything that you would say, yeah, I lost a load of money in that business collapsed, that business failed? Anything in your journey that might actually give people that have failed some pause for thought in terms of inspiration? Or has it just always been kind of pretty
So
plain sailing commercial?
I think share dealings, so invested in
The
some
bank.
oil
Yeah.
in the banks and so yeah, really
But
bad
not in a
stock
business
picker.
sense.
No, no, not in a business
There was an
sense.
office you mentioned you took that went wrong.
Yeah, so there was a part of my career that was, well, you know, my wife was pregnant and the job wasn't, well, you know, I was being paid 10 grand a year and not
There was somebody else in
commission.
the business, though.
Well, I was manager, so yeah, I could definitely have done better, I think, and you know that yeah that gave me a real sort of kick to say, "Look, you've got to be really
Yeah,
careful
good
on
one.
that." Yeah, yeah, in a good way, because I say, you know, there's things that happen through your career. Some are positive, some are negative, and you know that was a negative that turned into a huge positive because everything I've achieved has been as a result of leaving that business and joining General Accent. That was the move that I
That
made
yeah,
that catapulted me into
was
that
the catalyst for the rest.
equity
Yeah.
piece that gave me the money to do the bits and the investing and all that. So, you know, then there are, you know, things in your career that was the piece. Joining General Accent Property Services in Hucknall was the start of what I've achieved.
And how often do you get out into a branch again and a business? And what do you look at when you walk into that branch?
Well, back to the
yeah,
floor.
back to the floor.
Yeah,
So
not that often, to be fair. You know, we see franchisees quite a lot and understand it. I mean, the business we now run is very much owned by the franchisee. They it's day to day, 99% of their, or 91%. I take 9%, 91% theirs, and they you know. they run that business, and they're all very, very different. They've all got, they're lettings predominantly, not sales. So our job is to almost work as those, almost like in a consultancy environment where we say, look, these are all the opportunities that we've got.
Guiding them through that
Yeah, it's not
lettings.
like a corporate where you tell, tell, tell. You've got to say, look, these are the opportunities that you've got open to you. You may not want to take all of these, or you may want to take a few of those, and we want to help you execute really well on those things. Because most of my franchisees run one branch, so they're like branch managers, so they haven't been exposed necessarily to big corporate training and compliance and all of that. So our job is to provide all of that good stuff that makes, one, their lives easier, two, allows them to focus on their business, and three, we try and improve it. And you know, franchising is all about relationship management, and we spend a lot of time building those relationships with franchisees, understanding what are the pain points for them, and looking to provide
But
solutions.
also a lot of risk mitigation. I mean, how much safer is it, do you think, and I know you're gonna be a bit biased here, but how much safer is it to go into a franchise
Rather than
environment
just open
rather than
the
just, yeah, just start the two Russell's estate agency business?
So
Terrible.
It's an idea.
yeah. So I think with
Instant success.
yeah, with all the regulation that's it's really important, and I think that gives them comfort that they've got a business behind them that's going to make them safe. I think that's really, really important. I think,
But much less likely to go bust as well.
yeah, if you look at an independent, and 1 in 10 people take a franchise, 9 out of 10 do it on their own. But doing it on their own, they've got to, they've got to run their own marketing department, their own
Yeah.
website, their own IT department, their own AI department. How do you do it? How do you do it? They've got us that's got people out there looking at the really best products. That means that they're going to get them,
Sharing that
and share that, and
economies of scale.
sharing best practice. You've got 2,000 offices sharing best practice. What are people doing that's really working and really good? So. Um, so I am biased, and but I, having now been in the franchise arena for 5 years, I think more independents should look at it for the future, because I think it's only going to go one way. There's going to be more regulation, and being part of our group would be easier for a number of independents that are running one
And
of
what
the
about
businesses.
self-employed, as in the
Yep.
model? Because you could argue, I suppose, that let's say an EXP, as an example, is kind of a franchise model. I mean,
Of course.
they're not selling a
Yeah.
franchise, but they've got the support network.
Yeah, providing services for
Right.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So you've got a bit of that with Fine and Country and Hunters, I think, haven't you, in terms of that self-employed dynamic?
We've also got UMove, which is the most successful self-employed
Yes.
model out there. We made good money out of
See
it.
more acquisitions in that space?
So on the basis the market is moving more towards that model, then I wouldn't discount it, because, again, we talked at the beginning, we're acquisitive, we're going to have cash to buy, and therefore, making sure that we've got representation in each of the markets that we operate in is important. So you moves a
Particularly those
real
with traction.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So YouMove's really successful business. There may be another hybrid business that wants investment that we would look at. We can provide infrastructure. We there's go back to the scale. The scale we now have, we can offer quite a lot to any medium sized business.
I imagine helping franchisees at the moment navigate the lettings legislations that are coming in the pathway is taking up an awful lot of your senior leadership time. How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, we've got. I mean, we're really lucky. I've got Eric Walker, who loves compliance. I've got Grace Millam, who loves compliance. I've got Paul Offley, who loves compliance. And they are really important cogs in this wheel that we've got. Because you're right. The amount of fear and misunderstanding about the Renters' Rights Bill is significant. Eric's been out on like a tour for the whole year where we're doing landlord evenings. We're one of the only agents in the country doing landlord evenings about the Renters' Rights Bill, and that's really good for our franchisees. Q&A, bringing in our landlords, converting them from self-managing to manage. But Paul's really well respected in the guild. We did a survey and said, what are the 5 best things about the guild? Paul Offley,
All of
resounding
yeah,
top.
yeah.
Again, really, really lucky to have really credible professionals within the business that are advising our licensees and our franchisees. So yeah, we take that very seriously.
And these are people that you've inherited, I guess, right?
Yeah.
As you've bought these businesses. So that's a positive. Is there a negative, or how much of a negative is it to try and integrate all these different businesses, particularly as you've done it so quickly over the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. We sort of do a part integration. Ultimately, I bought Hunters in 2021. Glynis is still running my
Hunters,
training
yeah.
and does an awful lot for me. Glynis is amazing. Yeah. Um, so that's been really
The
important.
culture, technology, back
Yeah.
office systems,
Yeah, but I think that's driven by
ops.
the people and the MDs. That's why I go back to what I said at the beginning. The senior leadership team are the people that day to day go into the branches, look what's going
Yeah.
on, and define that
So
culture,
each
define that
business
strategy.
retains its culture.
Absolutely, really important. Because if a lot of our shareholders ask, why didn't you just merge the brands together? I
Yeah.
said, well, hold on a minute. Back in 1995, you had Mike Goddard selling Belvoir, you had Richard Martin selling Martin and Co. They made a choice. They probably saw both. So the ones that chose Belvoir, if I came and said, great, and you guys, we're going to go Martin, they'd be uproar.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you need to respect the businesses that you've bought. You need to understand the history. You need to understand the culture and the people. And I think we've been really good at that. And then you need to provide the leadership team that can drive that business forward. And again, I think we've done a really good job on that. So Ellie Hall runs Belvoir. She worked there 10 years ago, so people know her. So that's a really good fit.
Yeah.
And that there's trust because Ellie knows that. So if we
When you talk to Christopher Watkin about Belvoir, didn't he get fired from Belvoir? Does he ever bring it up?
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
He just talks about the Halifax advert when he was.
Yeah, he was part of the Halifax £1 deal.
He
Actually,
was. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, right,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Just before we wrap up, I just
yeah,
want to talk about agents giving for a minute because that's something
okay,
you're quite
yep.
involved in and passionate in. And how did that come about?
Mm.
And the thought of giving something back.
So I think so. David Nunes. So David Nunes is the chair. So 6 or 7 years ago, I think David felt that I didn't have enough on, and felt sorry for me, and therefore wanted to include me into the Agents Giving charity. And I was really happy to do that. So David does most of the work. To be fair, me and David run a couple of golf days a year. Um, which I do a little bit for, but not a lot. But it's a great charity. I think, the industry, if you look at all the charitable work the industry does, I think we get bad press. And I think, Agents Giving, I think it's also not understood fully. We give grants to people to go and do charity events for whoever they want.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will give them a grant, 200 quid, 300 quid to, I don't know, buy t-shirts or whatever. And then they can go and raise money for Macmillan or cancer
Yeah.
research or whatever. Yeah. So it's the grant piece that I'm really keen to publicize because I want people to take those
I
grants.
don't think people do understand that.
No, and we all need to talk about that because any charitable event in a state agency, they can get a grant, okay? They get the grant, they go and raise the money, they give the money, whatever. And what we will do is say, well, they raised 500 quid. So Agents Giving or state agency, the estate agents charity raised £1 million for all of these different
Yeah.
charities through giving grants that enabled them to do the charity event. So we need to be better at communicating that because I don't think it's fully understood. Anyone can ask for a grant. We ask for agents to be supporters and pay a £99 fee
Yeah.
per year
Yeah.
just to be an ambassador for us. And a number of my group have started to do that. That's really important. And we look to raise money so that this grant pot can grow, so we can give more grants. Yeah, and then if there's any surplus, we'll pick a chosen charity, homeless or child poverty or whatever, the things that resonate with the board and give them a chunk of money. So it's all for the good. The events are good fun.
Yeah.
And we have really good support. So thank you to everybody that supports Agents Giving. It's really, really important to us. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great. Well, look, on your
What
way
an
to £1 billion
insight.
then.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, I guess a nice place to leave this. Look, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
where you are, what you're doing, and where you're going. I
Yeah.
think.
Very exciting.
Well, if we get to £1 billion, I'll come back on.
Lovely.
Yeah.
We'll come to your restaurant if you get to.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll have
Definitely.
lunch. We'll have
Well, absolutely fascinating insight again. Thank you, Gareth, for coming on. Great to have a CEO talking about your journey, which I think will inspire so many others. So
I don't think you've said anything that your CFO is going to be miffed.
I think we're okay.
we're okay. We're clear.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to get banned.
That's the wrap.
Knuckles
So,
stuff.
as always, is customary at the end of these. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Thank you.